السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. يسعدني في لقاء جديد مع بنت النور أن أستضيف ضيف مميز. هذا الضيف التقيته هنا في غلف ورشة التي قامت بها مؤسسة كانكس للكتابة الإبداعية، وهي ورشة تم استضافتها هنا في غانا في عاصمتها أكرا. يسعدني أن أستضيف ضيفي لهذا اليوم وهو السيد أوزوما إيهجيريكا. السيدي الكريم هو كاتب إبداعي وصحفي متخصص في الثقافة الشعبية وصانع أفلام نيجيري. الأستاذ الكريم السيد أوزوما ظهرت له أعمال عديدة في مجالات مختلفة مثل لوي إيزلي ذا نيتيف، وأيضا لديه نشر أيضا في أوبن كانتري ماك من بين عدة قنوات أخرى، ويعمل أيضا كمحرر نسخ في مينورتي أفريكا، ويقوم أيضا بمجال المشاريع الموسيقية النيجيرية، ويعمل أيضا على صفحته سبستراك تحت عنوان Nigerian Reverberations. الآن أرحب بضيفي الكريم لهذا اليوم. Hi, welcome Mr. Uzoma.
Thank you.
It will be like I'm very honored to meet you here in my channel, and I want to know more about you.
Thank you.
Please, if we can start just from beginning and tell us how you are become like a writers and go to the other culture as journalist. What happened?
Oh, thank you so much, Salma. So I started writing as a teenager, let's say 15, 16, and I wasn't really from childhood. I wasn't really reading a lot of books.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I only read from school books,
Yeah.
books prescribed in schools, I think I watched a film. It was a Nigerian film, and in this film, the man was looking for a male child,
Okay.
and he married, three women looking for a male child, and he had like all girls,
Yeah.
and so at the end of the day, he finally got a male child. But I don't know, it was a comedy really, with family drama.
Yes.
But I don't know where it started from, but it just sort of sparked something in me. And I realized, I could actually write a story about this man, but in a different way.
Yes.
And that was like, I had never written anything before then, but I just felt like I could write a story about this man, but in a different situation. And that was how it started. And when I wrote it, I was like, oh wow, I think I like this.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Because I think
something.
that was the first time, like for me, that was the first time I felt like I was doing something. Like, I mean, a lot of times when you're a kid, you're just doing things, right? You're playing with friends, you're just basically living life.
Yes, of course.
Without any.
The normal, yeah. The normal
You don't really
days,
care.
yeah.
You don't really care about. But I think that was the first time it sort of felt like this is something I care about, and this is something I could play with friends, but this is something that's my own.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Your own space, yeah.
Yeah, it's my own space. That was the first time it really kicked in my head. This is my own thing. So yeah, that was how it started.
You are lucky to find this from early time.
Yeah.
How do you see the impact of pop cultures on Nigerian social today?
In Nigeria, we've had generations. We've had like series of political situations. There's been oil. There's been this back and forth. So it has sort of left a lot of young people really sort of looking for something in life to hold on to, and pop culture being music, arts, film. I can speak for my own generation of young people, and it's like I think it's something where we claiming making our own, because obviously there's the bad government, bad policies, but I think for a lot of young people, like pop culture, arts in itself, it's basically an escape from situations that do not favor us, right? So we know that the government is bad, but we are going to use pop culture, which doesn't have any restrictions. There are no boundaries, right? There's no limitations to creativity, right? So even for those who are artists, those who make music, make films, write, that's like a way of expressing themselves. Because usually, I mean, we sort of had a protest some weeks ago. So basically, we understand that these things are the only things that help us to voice out, to tell our own stories, right? And even for people who maybe do not even write or create art, like me, listening to music is also a way of escape, because you just come back home after a tough time and you can listen to music and you feel better. You can watch a film with friends and you feel great, or you can read a good book and you feel calm. So in a way, pop culture, at least for Nigerians, it's more than just, it's a very viable industry, but beyond that, it's like a tool of us expressing ourselves, a way of finding comfort. So that's how I see it.
Now we are just talking about music and how it's the effect. So you can tell us about your relation with the music? What is the secret between you and the music?
So I think for me, music and film, my love for music and film started way before even literature, right? Because from a young age, my dad had this collection of music, both 80s, 90s, gospel, like different genres, rock, country. So I think that was my first love for it. And then coming into film, watching film as a kid. So I think for me, music, it's like, I see it as a way of connecting to my soul, right? Listening to these artists who has gone through this experience and they've put it together on record. And it doesn't matter if it's music about happy feelings or sad times, but you just connect.
Yes, it's very connected.
Yeah, so for me, like, I treasure music a lot, because for me it's a way of, it's like someone telling me that, oh, like, this thing you're going to have experienced it, or I understand how you're feeling. So if you're listening to my music and you understand that we are the same, like we go through the same things but in different ways, but it's still the same human experience. So I think for me, music is like, it have a deep love for it.
I think you, of course, heard about this type of treatment by music.
Yeah. Like, so obviously, music, it can be a form of treatment. Yes, definitely, and it's like not even just physical treatment, but spiritual. Yeah, like going to the soul.
We need music anyway.
Definitely, because I mean, you don't, as a writer, you just don't want to write. Sometimes you also need to, so as a producer of art, you also need to consume art. So you can't always be producing. You also need to take in people's art too and let them refresh you. So yeah.
Of course, it's very refreshing. Among the area you covered in your works, what particularly attracted you to focus on and why?
So I've mentioned, music, which is I have a love for, but also film, because like music, right? Film is so.
About writing, we didn't talk about writing.
Oh, okay. So my writing, right? Apart from music, yes. So my love for writing is basically about creating stories that connect with the human experience. So I want my stories to be in Nigeria. As a Nigerian, I want my stories to connect to someone in Africa or outside Africa, right? So because I feel like art should be universal. Like everybody should be able to connect wherever place you are in the world. And I think for me, that's what I always try to do, to create stories that people can connect to, regardless of wherever they are, right? So that for me is like a motivation that, okay, I need to make my story. So I realized that it's best to make your story, like it's best to write from where you're comfortable from, but include themes or ideas that people can connect with. So people can connect with love, connect with, grief, thing.
Yes.
So those themes are what connects everybody, like regardless of whether you're, a Muslim or a Christian.
Yes.
Those themes sort of bring everyone together. So yeah, that's really what I aim to do with my writing. And in terms of music, films,
Yes.
it's the same thing basically, right? Because the films I've loved are films that have connected to me,
Yes.
right? Whether they are based, they are set in Iran or set in the US,
Yes.
they still connect because there's still something in those stories that, that just feels like, oh yes, I recognize that, or I know who that has happened to. So basically, in terms of filmmaking, my hope is also to make films that people can connect with, that people see, and it reminds them that, oh, I know this experience, So yeah, that's it.
And there's something we listen what you are read and write in this workshop. You are very talented, and you can go deep inside your characters. What you are writing about it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, of course, I try to do that.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're in a workshop where we're all here to learn
Yes.
and refresh and get better, right? So I see every exercise as an opportunity to learn more,
Yes.
because I feel like, oh yeah, like I can write, but there's still
When
more.
you see different, respective
Yeah,
from
you see
others
people and you're like, oh,
participate,
okay, I like what this person does. I think I should do it. Like I was telling you the other time, like I like what you do with, like female characters, how you write about, how you sort of not just go into their minds, right, but tell the story, but like it's so universal, like it's so particular to you, but it's something everybody can connect to.
Yeah.
So which is something I greatly admire. So yeah, that's basically it for me, to create great stories.
Yeah, okay, thank you. How do the minority story you engage with your community Africa influence your worldview and writing?
Okay, so Minority Africa,
Yes.
it's an African, publication, a digital publication that sort of seeks to celebrate people, seek to celebrate minority communities, whether people, in the queer society or people living with disabilities,
Yes.
or just anybody who people do not really celebrate, who are not celebrated in society. Yeah, so my work with Minority Africa for me has been very eye-opening, right? Because I realized that I'm someone who really cares about like the society, cares about people. I'm really keen on telling stories, especially from people who are not really allowed or really like, oh, you have to tell your story. So I believe everyone has a story to tell.
Yes.
And I believe, and the beautiful thing about the work we do at Minority Africa is the fact that we let these people. Most of these stories are told from people from those communities, right? So, if someone you have someone, maybe a gay man, a trans woman, someone who has visual impairment, they tell their stories directly from themselves, like. So it is them giving voice to their own, believing that they have a story and they're telling it. And for me, my own work basically as a copy editor is to ensure that, oh, this follows, the normal guidelines, publication guidelines, but as much as possible, just basically to make sure, okay, things are grammatically correct, the facts are stated correctly, and just letting the story just tell itself. And I think for me, what it has done for me, really, it has made me more human in terms of connecting with these people. It has made me more open to say, oh, okay, yeah, like everyone has a story to tell, and you mustn't be like you must not be, how do I put it, privileged, like no matter how, your, well, I say, no matter your placement in society, you have your story is important to be told, and you have a right to tell your story. And also because it's a African publication, I think it has, from my observation, it has made a lot of Africans who submit, like eager, because this is not a Western.
Yeah.
It's owned by a Nigerian. Most of the team are from Africa. So basically, it's like this is something for us, for Africans, and you're free to, express yourself.
Yes.
Like you don't have to, tell it in a way that you feel like, oh, maybe someone from the Western world will take it. You just know that you're talking to Africans, so it's by Africans for Africans.
Yes.
So I think for me that has also even made me in my own writing to be determined that, oh, okay, yeah, like if these people editing their works are telling their stories, then it means me too. I have that license to also tell my own stories. So yeah.
Yeah. Please, Mr. Uzoma, how does your writing influence your filmmaking?
So as I said, I want to tell stories. So really, I'm keen on. I feel like stories, it's like the connecting thread between film, literature. They are all telling stories, whether it's through film or through literature. So I think for me, apart from telling stories, so one of the things I try to intertwine is the fact that film is very visual. Like you have to, it's more of like it's what you see, you get, right? So, and I think I've taken bits of that into my own writing.
Okay.
So that when I'm writing, I try to be as visually clear as possible, right? So that whoever is reading can visualize what I'm saying. Because I feel that that's a quality that film has, where you have to really visualize and show.
Add more details,
and show so that people can get what you're saying.
How do you see the evaluations of the journalist role in the digital age? And what do you think is the future of the journalism?
Okay. So I feel the duty of journalism, obviously, is to shed light, tell stories, like sort of bring people's view to something that people are not aware of, right? So I feel like for me, the evolution is that sort of the way journalism is right now. You don't have to have gone to journalism school to be a journalist. So everybody can be a journalist now. So even I can take my phone and I can see something happening and I'm taking a video and I can upload it and it's news. People are going to be like, oh yeah. I mean, that's what most people do now because everybody has a cell phone.
Now we can't hide the truth like
obviously. So there's no, you can't even, these are not the days of like, oh, you need to meet this editor has to, sign your story and then you have just, once you feel like this is an interesting subject, you can do it, right? So, and I also feel because what I also do with my Substack page where I review music albums is basically for me, it's like basically albums that I feel like I love, that I feel, oh, I like this. I think people might like it, or that people might want to read my thoughts about this music. That's what I do because obviously I've written for publications, I've written for, news publications, but I also feel, oh, I think I would like to just write my own thoughts. So people know that, oh, this is me. So once you come here, this is me. Like, there's no editor who might edit out things, or you might not, because
just you.
Because sometimes you might also feel that pressure from sharing your work. So it's basically, so I feel the way I see the future of journalism is basically there's not going to be any more boundaries. So people are going to be free to tell stories. Like you don't have to be a journalist to tell stories, even though there's the disadvantage of, so it means there will be no more boundaries. And when there's no boundaries, anybody can just tell anything. People can give false news, fake news. There's definitely that issue. But I feel like the advantages will outweigh the disadvantages because it's going to make the field open for more people to tell stories, especially from places that we don't really get stories from. So that people have the confidence and the freedom to tell their stories. So I think it's positive, personally. I think it's positive.
Finally, I want to thank you and wish best luck for you, for everything, for the writing, for the musical, for everything you are, for the movie and filmmakers. Really thank you and appreciate your time. And it's like a good chance to meet you in this workshop and meet one talent like you and talk and have this nice talking. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for inviting me to this and opening your doors, for me. me to talk about myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
Thank you, Mr. Uzoma.
Thank you.
أما أنتم أصدقائي الحضور أترككم في رعاية الله. إلى اللقاء.